So, how did I end up spending my anniversary helping out a client with all these AT&T bills? So, what happened was years ago, I got brought into a client, and this was an unusual situation. So, they actually knew they had some really big problems with their AT&T bills, but they couldn't make head or tail of exactly what the issues were. So, they brought us in to help with a bunch of different things, and one of the big things was all these billing errors. So what happened was they had actually discovered that their bills didn't make any sense, and they had written AT&T and told them, there are these problems. And AT&T was like, oh, don't worry about it, yeah, we'll take care of it. And nothing was really getting done. And so I was there, I was helping to identify all the different services which weren't needed anymore, and getting that sort of cleaned up. And we were waiting to hear back from AT&T about how they were going to help with these billing errors, and we'd done some inventory work, kind of getting a sense of what might have been off. And all of a sudden, at the last minute, AT&T tells the client, hey, you need to give us a lot of money because you haven't been paying these bills. And the client was like, well, but you told us not to pay them because you need to fix them and clean them up. So I had to scramble and go in and identify all the different services which hadn't been billed properly for an extended period of time. So I had ended up spending my whole weekend doing that. My anniversary, I think maybe we did get to go out to dinner, but I spent several days doing that. And one of the really crazy things I discovered was one of the big AT&T bills had multiple sub-accounts. And if you go in and track how much AT&T was billing in each sub-account and you put it all in a spreadsheet, there's a pattern which I found, which was that there are certain sub-accounts which would just appear out of nowhere and bill for a few months and then stop billing. It's nothing. So this is something that should not happen at all. So it was a pretty crazy thing to see. And unfortunately, AT&T really fought us every step of the way to try to give the money back. They really didn't want to give the money back, even though they said they would initially take care of everything. And fortunately, we were able to work through it and get the client their money returned, and service wasn't cut off because of lack of payment. So that was really good. And so why this is important is because unfortunately these big vendors can't be trusted to fix the bills for you, and you need to unfortunately identify what the problems are and what the issues are and let them know they need to fix it, and be very specific and document everything in writing and send it over in an email. Fortunately, just a handshake is not a good enough guarantee. The management is going to want to see something in writing saying, hey, yeah, you made a request about this at what such and such date, and it's saying, hey, I want this fixed, and then it'll get fixed eventually. But if you wait, let's say a year, and go back and ask for your money back, fortunately, they're going to point to their contract and they're going to say, sorry, you can't get your money back because you didn't tell us soon enough. So that's not a fun experience. But with consistent review of bills, these things can be caught. And in order to do that, I think typically you need a way to know what a good bill looks like and kind of identify discrepancies month to month. So hopefully this was helpful, gives a little bit of insight into how these things can be handled. And I mean, this particular case, this was an extreme circumstance. I mean, there were hundreds of thousands of dollars in billing errors. Typically, I would say most clients don't have that severe an issue, but I am surprised at how often I do find services where, a particular component is misbilled. It should have been a lot less money than it was, or they were supposed to have canceled something years ago. They didn't. There was probably even an email from the customer saying, hey, you need to get rid of this, or they cancel part of a line, part of the service, but they don't cancel the rest of it, and they keep billing you. And they're going to keep billing you until you say something about it. So that's why this is important. Hopefully that all makes sense. And if this could help anyone you know, please share it with them. And if you have a situation where you're spending a lot of money with your vendors and you have some concerns, feel free to reach out on LinkedIn or email, and maybe we can help. Love to talk to you. Take care.